Hello and welcome to Zambia Block Talk Radio. My name is Roger Charlie here in Alberta in Canada in the prairies. Today we're going to have a wonderful program where we are going to be discussing the Africa Continental Free Trade Area with Dr. Luka Powanga. Dr. Powanga is the professor at Regis University and is going to be guiding us with a lot of questions and possibly we can make some headway. Before we do that, I ask those who are following us, those who have logged in, please share the video to your friends on your Facebook, so we reach as many people as possible. Dr. Powanga, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. You and I are in the same time zone, so makes things much easier. Dr. Powanga, I'm sure you've been following the signing and the launching of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. Just in general, what is the implication of this agreement, Dr. Powanga, to Africa?
Well, actually, thank you very much for having me once again, and I appreciate you inviting me. This agreement is long overdue. Look at all the regions around. We have the North American Free Trade Agreement, which has been modified, an agreement between Canada, the United States, and Mexico, the European Union. We have the Latin American Free Trade Agreement, which encompasses quite a number of countries between Mexico and Latin America. But we don't have a real solid organization within Africa. Obviously, we do have the SADC cores and so on, but those do not encompass the whole continent. And there's no reason why there should be some selections in terms of let's have the East African Trade Agreement, let's have the ECOWAS, or let's
ECOWAS, yeah.
So there is no need to have those divisions. We can have a larger one where there is a free trade from Cairo all the way to Cape Town and in between. So and also, if you look at the intertrade between within the countries of Africa, it's just about 17% of the overall trade. Whereas if you look at the European Union, you're talking about 69%. You look at the North American, you look NAFTA. That's about 37%. You look at Asia, ASEAN, which is the Association of Asian countries, you see that they do have, their trade is about 59% within. So if you compare 17, 37, 59, and 69, we are way off. Why is that? And so by having an agreement amongst ourselves, which, by the way, is an offshoot of the 2063 agenda, which was started by I've even forgotten her name, Professor Zuma, or Dr. Zuma, when she was the president of the African Union.
Oh, okay.
Ambassador to the African Union, that's when she started that. So if you look at that, some of the things that we are going to see change, one is the harmonization of tariffs. So the way we do business will sort of harmonize it, so that you can come with the product from all the way from Eritrea across to Rwanda without much ado, because you won't have all those barriers that we used to have in the past. Of course, this is in principle. The thing, what remains to be seen is how we deploy it and harmonize and how we put all those policies in place. But overall, this is a very good idea. If we can implement it correctly, that would be an excellent idea. To really help out industries, to really help out the the infrastructure, the transportation infrastructure to also help out. If you want to set up a company as a small business or a large business, it should be done within a day instead of waiting for so many days, so that everybody plays by the same rules. And if you have an expectation of the rules, that means there's going to be more influx of investments into Africa, because people know what to expect country to country. So overall, it's a win-win situation.
I like that. I like the harmonization. I like that. Some of the estimates, Dr. Powanga, they are talking about in 10 years, Africa could be could earn as much as 450 billion. 400. Someone listening who is in Zambia, $450 billion. One of the things they've talked about is that Africa is losing about 200 billion every year, importing fish, importing toothpaste from China, doing this. But because we are going to start strengthen our intra-trade, we can earn as much as 450 billion. Question number one: how should the African entrepreneur prepare for this market expansion?
Well, actually, if you look at Africa, overall, there are about 360 million small businesses or small enterprises, as you call them. And those enterprises, they are in different industries. And if you look at the businesses themselves, that 360 million represents 80% of all the businesses in Africa. So if we have to make this successful, then we have to look at the small businesses. And one of those things, as a small business, one of the things you have to you have to do is make sure you are aware of which industries are actually exporting, for instance, or if you're in a particular country, where are you exporting stuff? If you are exporting them from, say, Italy and so on, you can actually now divert that trade to a local country. Maybe the same stuff you can get it from Zimbabwe, or the same stuff you can get it in from Malawi, or if
from Congo,
from neighboring countries, or the Congo.
Yeah.
Your main aim now is to try and fill that gap.
Yes.
To say, okay, look, the same stuff that you are now importing, that we are importing from Italy, and here are the costs that you are incurring. But if we buy them from Zaire, this is the cost. We'll be doing a much better job. And remember now, Zaire, if they have a particular product that they are producing, which you have identified, they will also have competition, because other countries will also look at or producing a similar product, or they may want to have that particular product manufactured in a nearby country.
Yes.
So they will have that competition is going to drive the quality of the product, other than being the only one. And also remember that even in, let's say if you are sitting in Zambia and you do have a product that you are producing, you will be subjected to competition. So you have to make your product.
Oh, I like that.
Because if you are, let's say you are producing a particular product for ZCCM, as an example, ZCCMIH, well, they too now have all these options available, rather than when they were just looking at the product from the local company. So one of the things is you have to make sure, are there ways that I can improve my product? Two is what kind of products are actually being produced, and can I tap into that? And three, you know that most of these companies now, they will have the ability to source across boundaries. So you don't necessarily have to have a product that you can export. What you can do now is tap into what those big companies are actually doing. Let's say CEC or ZCCMIH or any of these companies, they are trading with other countries. Tap into what they are doing and say, look, before I can supply you with the following items. For instance, look at South Africa. They do manufacture vehicles. Those vehicles, if you look at the crankshaft and small things like that for the engine, those are not manufactured within South Africa. They are manufactured either abroad or they are manufactured in Botswana or in the neighboring countries. So now you can also tap into that, because you know you can actually send your product to them. So
Yes.
the idea is to be strategic,
Yeah.
so that once the NAFTA comes, well, which is, I mean, the trade agreement comes into effect in terms of deployment or implementation, you are already positioned in a way that you can jump on and be able to leverage the agreement. But if you just sit down and expecting somebody to come and tap on your shoulder and tell you, hey, by the way, this is what you need to do, that's not going to happen. You have to do it yourself. And only in terms, don't just think in terms of products. You can also offer technology, I mean, services. You can offer technology. You can offer a particular service, let's say lubricating something or something like that. So don't have a narrow mind, have a bigger mind. And also focus on what you do best. What is your core competency? And that's what you advance. So I mean, I would encourage. In fact, that should be the core of this agreement. It should be to support the small businesses.
Wonderful. What do you say, Dr. Powanga, to people who say, "Oh, now South Africa is going to ride over us"? The powerful countries with infrastructure, established infrastructure, will just ride over us. What do you say to that?
Well, what I would say is, first of all, the devil lies in the details. We really don't know how the details look like.
Yeah.
But it all depend on the implementation. And look, if you look at the NAFTA, for instance, and that has been modified. I should be using the latest acronym. But if you look at NAFTA, you have the US, which is very, very highly advanced, more than South Africa.
And more than Mexico, yeah,
which is more behind. But look, actually, Mexico has benefited more from
that's
the
a good point
than the US has actually benefited from Mexico, because most of these industries with the maquiladoras, those were based on industries like Ford and the auto industry, establishing facilities in Mexico and then importing the stuff. Even farming, you see a lot of stuff that is in Latin America that the US has invested in, and then they import the stuff. So let's say you are growing bananas and so on. Well, that means we are going to have more employment, and you can have services supplied to that facility. So it's not going to take advantage of you, but in actual fact, everybody is going to end up winning, assuming we do it correctly. Because that is where I'm really nervous about this. About this trade agreement. I may have missed them, but I haven't seen the details in terms of how much money are we going to put in this? How are we going to improve the infrastructure? For instance, the roads. How are we going to improve that? If we are talking about sharing electricity, how are we going to improve the cables? Right now, we know, for instance, ZESCO has got a problem in terms of capacity. So how do we improve the evacuation of electricity? So those are some of the things that I'm looking at. Even the policies. How are we going to implement the policies so that we align all the policies we harmonize all the policies so that we now have one umbrella covering everybody? And also, how are people, I mean, who has signed off in terms of the process for the policies? If we talk about the policies, who's going to make those policies, and what is the process of making those policies? What if Zambia is unhappy with those policies? What is the appeal system? I haven't seen all those details, and that's why I'm saying that the devil lies in the details.
In the details,
flesh them out, then we'll begin to see where the potholes are, or where the mines are.
Okay.
Once we discover those landmines, we can remove them.
Yeah, actually, I'll share with you. I was digging, Dr. Powanga, to find what you've just talked about, the policies and them. So they did an analysis, the Bank of the World Bank. They've done a small analysis. So I'll send it. I'll send it to you. Actually, that answered our question number 2. The diaspora watching Dr. Powanga from America and other countries. How does this agreement affect us in terms of either investment, or are we just going to, as always, well, it's for home?
You see, the beauty about the trade agreement is that it's going to make mobility of goods and labor. In other words, the services where we include, where labor is included, that is going to be freed up so that you can now get a job in South Africa without
Tanzania. Yeah, we are too many of us in South Africa. Tanzania.
All those hoops. The opportunities that I see for the diaspora is, one, they can get employed anywhere they want and they make a contribution, and they don't necessarily have to be in, let's say, Zambia for 5-20 years. They can go there on a short-term basis. Let's say you become a CEO of one of those companies for a period of 2 years or 1 year, where you utilize the stuff that you are seeing here and utilize them over there, so that now you are improving the situation of that company, rather than just going to take out of it, but you go with a good heart, good faith, with the idea of improving the operations there and making it profitable, of course. And the second thing is, we are subjected to a lot of technology, a lot of contacts, connections. It would be now our opportunity to go to any country where you feel comfortable. Because one of the problems, and I can tell you this from personal opinion, is that when people see somebody from the diaspora, they're not too happy about them being there. You are an enemy, but some of them, of course, I'm not talking about everybody. Some of them are not happy, so they may not be cooperative. So if, yes, you are experiencing problems in Zambia, then you might as well go to the neighboring country and try to impart that technology, the things that you've learned. Go to Botswana and do something about what's happening there. Once Zambia sees you doing good things in Botswana, they will also now open the door to do good things in Zambia. So here the whole purpose is, can we create synergy? So that rather than what I would do on my own, because obviously I'm over here miles and miles away. When I come to Zambia, I would like to work with somebody who is there. I would like them to learn from me, and I learn from them. So it's not a one way. It's not like a river flowing one way. This is a two-way lane where we have traffic flow, flowing in both directions. Because I will be learning from them and they will be learning from me. But overall, what we end up having is enhancing both our skills and having a work product that is of a higher quality than if I did it alone and you did it alone. So that's another thing. And also, if you look at the diaspora, they send a lot of money to Africa.
Yes.
The last time I looked at it was about 66 billion, if I remember correctly. And that's a lot of money. We can, as a diaspora, try to invest in what's happening in Africa. We can create companies in Africa. We can create businesses in Africa. So we can try, and it doesn't matter. You don't have to invest to put in, let's say, $1 million. All you can do is maybe $500 a month. It's going towards the investment. Let's say our main aim is we want to own a power plant. Well, we can begin putting money towards that power plant. So if you have 100 people come together, or even 1,000 people, since now you are saying we may decide, okay, we have this power plant in Rwanda. Well, and there are 1,000 people who want to make a power plant. First of all, right there, if each of us put in 500, we already have enough money to do a feasibility study. The next thing is all of us have got contacts. We can bring in the investor because we know on good faith. And we may say, okay, we just need so much from you so we can buy equipment. But over time, the operating cash, until we start making money, we will be putting in 500 or 200 or 300 or however much you can put in. Just like the way they do companies here, you have
the stock market. Yeah,
you've got the stock market, you've got the family investors, you've got hedge funds, you have those who can invest big like the hedge funds, and then you got family practices or family funds that have got very little that they can add in. But overall, when you look at it, when it's aggregated, it's a big chunk of money. And that is what is driving more these companies. I mean, the companies in different countries. So we can apply the same thing to Africa. There isn't any difference between us and anybody else on this planet. The only thing is we have to change the mindset.
Because 66 billion, Dr. Powanga, is a lot of money.
Yes, it's a lot of money. Now, imagine we just get a quarter of that.
A quarter of that much. We still keep spending the way we spend. My good friend says a black tax. We still have to pay, taking care of our families. But there is a point where we are going to run out of steam helping. But if we make these investments, as they say in Bemba, tukaladi hapo fie, tukaladi.
Right. So the thing is just to look at the approach. Okay, we give $66 billion, and it goes to our relatives. They buy themselves a chicken here and
school here,
of beers there. It ends there. Next year we have to add, and I'm talking that's on a yearly basis.
Yes.
Now look at over 10 years. That's $660 billion. How many power plants can we build? How many companies can we build that are really functional and well-funded, well-capitalized? A lot. So for per year, if we just say, okay, each one of you spending, just do 10% of what you are sending, put it aside, and we have somebody who can be doing that. So at the end of the year, we would have. Let's say in this case, if you are talking about 10%, it's just you have $6.6 billion. That's a lot of money. We can fund a lot of stuff ourselves.
Wow.
And look at it now. Okay, we fund a lot of stuff, a lot of facilities, a lot of businesses, a lot of companies. And once we do that, there is now, let's say in 2-3 years, we are getting back now the money. We don't even have to dip into our money because that's the money now we will use to feed our families.
To send the villagers to school.
Yeah, to send the villagers to school. And part of corporate social responsibility, we end up looking at certain causes like health, water, electricity, or education. We can do a lot. But the thing is, we have to have a mindset of let's make an investment rather than let's consume. You see, if you go to a friend, for instance, and borrow money to consume, that's not a good idea. If you borrow money to make money, then that's a much better idea. And guess what? With the idea of aggregating our funds together, even the banks will now be running to lend us money. They will be on our doors, knocking hard and say, hey, do you have a project that we can have? Because they know we have collateral that they can use.
Yeah. Wow, that is that. Why we can see that, Dr. Powanga? It is 66 billion, and we are not saying stop looking after your families. We're just saying just 10% of that. Let's divert it to doing good. Dr. Powanga, we're going to look at a small video. On this, we are going to address the question of the youth unemployment. Trade is estimated to grow from the current 16% to 35% by the year 20 2035. If this projection stands, what is the impact this will have on youth unemployment is it in the or on the continent? On the continent. Let me play this video and you will answer that question on the other side.
Okay.
The reason that we started, of course, to educate and build the human capital, not only in Ethiopia but in Africa, but also the other thing that we saw is the technology bias that is being created, because especially not a lot of women are involved and also not a lot of people of color. So when you see AI development and robotics development, it's usually limited to people who are living in the Western countries and usually men. So we wanted to find a way so that we'll be able to educate and build the human capital in AI and robotics so that these people of African descent can contribute to these technologies. We're not only trying to teach children how to be computer scientists, but to be innovators and be problem solvers. Now we're at Rice International School, where I Code Anyone Can Code after school program is being held. Now we'll meet one of our brightest students from this after school program. Let's go.
My name is Soteria Dawit. I'm 12 years old. I learn in ICOG as an after school program, and I've learned how to code in a simple way. Now, the thing I really enjoyed making in ICOG was when I made a project from my mother for my graduation in ICOG. I made a simple, but it was kind of difficult to make. I was making a place called Scratch Town, where the Scratch Cat, the main cat, as you see over here, would walk around and show you around the place. I added 3 buildings that it would go enter. I had a theater, a maths palace, and a game galore. In these 3 places, you would do 3 different things that were really amazing.
So instead of ourselves fixing the problems, we believe in actually giving the people the chance to fix their problems. So we give them the tools and the necessary resources to come with innovations that would solve the problems that are currently happening in the country. Ethiopia has a population of around 110 million people. So there are 110 million and even more problems. So we believe that educating the youth and helping them come up with their problems and helping those problems change to businesses is what we're trying to do instead of solving the problems directly.
Welcome back, Zambia Block Talk Radio. We are looking at the question, Africa Continental Free Trade Area and its implication. My guest today is Dr. Powanga. He's a professor at Regis University, professor in economics, finance, and accounting. Your title was a little bit long, Dr. Powanga, so I couldn't fit it on. Yeah. They say the youth unemployment in Africa is a time bomb. Although our leaders don't act like that, it can explode any time. The jump, Dr. Powanga, my interest, is from 16% to about 35 in 10 years. 35. How does this change? This especially address the problem of youth unemployment in Africa?
You see, actually, I don't see it as a youth unemployment problem. I see it as a management problem or a leadership problem. Mm-hmm. Because we have very bright kids, and those are the kids who are going to take over the leadership, who are going to take over all the components of the economy. But the way we prepare them is what is the problem. Let's say insufficient schools, And even some of those who get into schools, insufficient people to teach them. And even those who are being taught, it's very difficult for them to come out with the skills that are needed. One of the biggest things that we should do is capacity training, capacity development. We have all this talent that is floating around. I mean, I can even give myself, if it was nowadays, I would not even be where I am. I would have been lost in the mix. But at the time when I was growing up in Zambia, we had access to education. It was relatively easier for us to even see ourselves being where we are now. But we are not providing the same kind of opportunities for the youth. Instead, we are seeing it as a problem instead of seeing it as a failure in leadership. So we can look at how do we actually prepare these kids, even the stuff that we are teaching them. Most of the courses, if you go around, they teach you to be an employee rather than teaching you to think on your own, equip you with the necessary expertise, with the necessary tools, so that now we can begin thinking about, hey, what should I do? If you look at the companies that are started, you see that most of those companies are started by people who've got a little bit of money, or they went and did something here and there. Well, but look at the companies that were started in other countries. Even Google, those guys were young fellas that were at a college, and then they got incubated. And somebody, so you have to create an ecosystem that is going to support the people trying to make businesses, people trying to get education. You don't necessarily have to go to a formal school to get the education. You can go to like the way we have here. We have community colleges, they have trade schools, and now, like for instance, if I go back to Ndola, I find I go to Nortec. Nortec used to be Northern Technical College. A great school where you could do, I mean, you could do a lot of marvelous stuff. They had all the equipment. They knew how to repair cars. They knew how to do all kinds of things. Now everything becomes theoretical. You don't have a nice lab. And of course, I'm not knocking down Northern Technical College. I haven't been on the campus itself. What I'm telling you is pretty much what I'm hearing the people that I talk to. So that kind of stuff, there should be continuous improvement so that we can give our youth the necessary skills. People will come up with their own ideas. You're looking at Zuckerberg. That was a guy who was broke, but he came up with an idea. But there is a support infrastructure. Do you want to know how to do marketing? The Small Business Administration is all dedicated to that, where they teach people where to get money, how to develop a business plan, how to develop a term sheet, so that when somebody comes and says, I want to invest in your company, you know how to value your company. All those small things, they know how to market the product. So they can identify what the target market is, how to bring the product to the customer, and how to really run their companies efficiently. It has to be a holistic approach. Not just, okay, you have this small idea here and it dies, not because you didn't know how to do it, but because you really didn't have the support necessary. Look at like one of the programs that is run here called Prime. The hospitals come out, the CEOs come out and say, here are the problems that you are facing. So you guys who are doing, you are actually doing coding. Code this. This is exactly what we want this to perform. So the example that you gave in terms of that video, that is an excellent example. Artificial intelligence. So you have to broaden your mindset, not just going to sell the we tend to copy from each other because we don't have the means to really do new things. If you come up with things, something there, you have to keep it close to your chest because somebody is going to rip it
Somebody
apart.
will copy it off you. Yeah.
Either copy it or just rip it apart. So what do you think? I mean, this is ridiculous. No, there has to be that ecosystem so that if you have an idea, you go there. They begin to ask you questions and say, hey, what did you think of this? Did you think of that? I know that the company next door is doing the same thing. How are you going to be better than the company next
Right.
door? So that now you open up your mind and start thinking, oh, I didn't think of this. Instead of somebody come, you think, so you want to be another Bill Gates. Oh my God. Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
You should be. So we have to give people that mindset that they have the abilities just like anybody else that you are going to see elsewhere. Admittedly, we have some billionaires, but look, the billionaires keep changing. Right now, Elon Musk is the richest instead of Zuckerberg. Before that, we had at least in the US, or even worldwide, we had Slim in Mexico, who was the richest man. Now we have seen he's been overtaken. This is open to everybody. And kids right from the word go should be able to know that it's open to everybody. And we can do that by equipping them with the tools that they need so that right from the word go, they can begin performing, doing things. So you see that this problem that you have, what you are calling a problem, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have all this abundant talent that you need to develop. So it's up to the people who have the capacity to develop those people. So like the case I mentioned earlier on, where the hospitals come in and give you the project. So you already know who your customer is. All you need to do is just to code. And when you code, that's a patent. It belongs to you. They are using it. They're paying you money. And that is over however long they're going to use it. They're paying you money for its use. I mean, in the form of loyalties. So you are empowering those people.
Yeah.
And even when you look at, we can even have programs where in Africa, you can, these kids are inventing very nice stuff. They can make presentations to, let's say, US investors. There is a lot of money there. They just don't know where to channel it.
Wow.
So we have a lot of money sitting here. And then there is money that, there is the talent over here. And we are seeing this talent as a problem because we haven't developed it. Let's develop that talent. The future depends on the youth, and that's what the focus is.
I like that.
And when you're doing all these things, the youth should have an input rather than you thinking for the youth when you are 60, 70 years old. What you are thinking is what used to happen when you were young. Things have changed.
Yeah.
What we should be doing now is give these youth the opportunity to move forward, give us ideas, and then we can push them. We sit back, the older ones, we sit back as advisors, but let them do the stuff that they want to do. And we be the ones pushing out the barriers. Oh, you want to do this? Okay. Here, rather than laughing at the person, laughing them out of the office, now we encourage them to do it. And we build that confidence, because the more you do, the better you, the more confident you become.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, from that video, Dr. Powanga, you saw there's a 12-year-old kid who is coding. To that youth, to that young girl, boy, listening to the program today in Africa, how should they begin to prepare themselves? Generally, I mean, in the new economy coming, what is your advice to them?
Well, to them, my advice would be that, well, continue doing the things that you are doing and continue researching, continue talking to people, and also continue finding those who are successful and talk to them. Don't be scared. And then continue learning more about what are the opportunities that this new agreement is going to provide. And those are the opportunities that you go after. And who do you need to talk to? And that's the reason why I say we need to develop, because for a 12-year-old, it will be very difficult for them to try and talk to the minister of.
Yeah.
In fact, the minister won't even see them.
That's the unfortunate part.
Yeah. So we need to create an ecosystem where that kind of talent is identified ahead of time and is nurtured over time, so that we will end up having our own billionaires. Of course, we do have the billionaires like Dangote, Mo Ibrahim.
But that's too few.
Those are few. We want to create more.
Yes, millionaires.
I mean, it's not a disadvantage for you to support somebody to be better. That's how you help each other. That's what all these networks are about. They're about enhancing each other. If you look at you come to the US, you see the CEOs, the CXOs, the associations, all those, it's there to help each other. So you go, hey, who can I partner with? Oh yeah, I do the same thing. Maybe we can do all those networking sessions. That's what it's all about. And that's why you see that saying it's not what you know, but who you know. That's where it comes from.
Yeah.
Because as the more you network, the more you create your credibility. Think about somebody who you've met so many times. There is credibility there already built.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Okay. Let's see some comments before. Yeah. We have just a few minutes, Dr. Powanga. Let's see what people are saying on social media. Here is a Facebook user. We don't know. Dr. Powanga is from which country? He's from Zambia. Does he travel to Africa oftentimes? Has he lectured in Africa itself? What is the problems of African countries and how should we tackle them? Why are we behind everyone else? Is it education we lack? Is it manpower, infrastructure, or capital? What does Dr. Powanga say to that?
Yeah, the country I am from, I'm from Zambia. How often do I travel to Zambia? At least twice a year. Of course, this year with COVID, I haven't been to. I was in Zambia earlier on in the year, but I haven't been there, and I'm not making any plans to be back there. And why are we behind? Largely with the education has played a very big role, and also the politics have played a very big role. I've been to a lot of. Actually, I've been to a lot of countries, and it's very disheartening to see when it's towards elections, people are not talking about issues. What are you going to do when you get into power? Instead, what I hear, I see mudslinging, somebody throwing this at somebody, and that doesn't help the country at all.
No.
So that's part of it, and also the environment that we create. Look at it. If I wanted to start a company here in the US, I would immediately, I would just do that within a couple of minutes. Just go onto the website, the Secretary of State's website, depending on which state you are. And they will ask me a few questions. I'll answer them, and I submit my articles of incorporation. I'm done. If I had to form the same company in Zambia, for instance, it will take a lot more time. I'll have to go to PACRA, fill out this, wait, go ahead. We want to, checking the name takes a couple of days or so or more. But here I can just go in the database, check the name. Okay, this is the name of the company. It's called the Entrepreneurship Incorporated. And it will tell me right there that if it's there or not. And if then I can change and punch it in again, and it comes out. That is not magic. In fact, that's something that we can ask our youth to be doing. Those are some of the projects that we can put for our youth to do, and we pay them for it, and pay them fairly for it. You think these youth are not going to want to do that?
Of course they will. Of course they will. Yeah.
Excuse me. It's a question of us being innovative and having an approach that is going to benefit these children. But if we just throw them, okay, there is a teacher, there is lock them up, that it doesn't work that way. Even as I'm a professor here, even for our our programs, there is always a practical component to it. And our motto is whatever we teach you in the class, we want you to see the applications. And that's why you see me, I'm a lecturer, but I also do other things outside of being a lecturer. So that they can also see, and in fact, most of the people that we teach, it's a dual type of program. We have executive programs. Those are programs designed for people who are already working. You're not just going to teach those the theoretical concepts, you are going to teach them the applications of those concepts as well. So you have to have an approach that allows people to come out of the program very confident and knowing they can face anybody on this planet. So that's the way we should be going about that. Then the question about, hey, have I taught at any of the universities in Zambia? Actually, I haven't. Yeah, even in the whole of the US, the whole of Africa, I haven't. I've received offers, but guess what? Because I'm an African, they want me to teach free of charge. No, you guys, you make a lot of money there. In fact, I saw this project. Yeah, it doesn't matter. But you have to respect what I'm bringing to the table. If I decide on my own and say, okay, I'm going to do this free of charge, that's a different situation. But if you want me to help, I'm not saying I should be paid the same rate that I'm paid here, but it has to be comparable. I'm not saying, no, you come and help us. That's the problem with you Africans. You don't like helping. No. And yet, when somebody who is even below me comes over there with a different color, we are even prepared to pay them this much, which is embarrassing. But we ought to be able to teach our kids. And that's the beauty about, I love the youth because they are there to change the world. They're not like the old guys who are saying, I'm tired, now I'm just waiting. How many years am I away from retiring? 5 years. So you just hang around. But the youth want to have action. They want to do things now. They want to learn.
That's a good point.
But provide them with the necessary environment so they can practice those skills. They can learn. They will make mistakes, but let them make mistakes, fail, and get themselves up. But be able to help them out. Extend your hand.
Some very quick comments again. Someone, Patricia in Denmark, she says, and sometimes the diaspora is not happy with the people on the continent. We need to figure that one out. She continues to say the costs of starting company in Zambia are prohibited. Muzo West in I don't know where Muzo is. I think Dr. Luka is very right. Just imagine teaching me about body parts of a grasshopper. Some of the contents in the curriculum, you teach people in Zambia about fishing in Lake Malawi, geography, how will fishing in Malawi affect the life of the Zambian. I saw one complaint finally, Dr. Powanga, how we were taught, you and I, when we were coming up the prairies, we knew every town in America. Some people are saying that wasn't very helpful. I don't know. Yeah, but you can conclude, Dr. Powanga. I hope we continue with our discussion. We keep pushing. The disadvantage as far as AFTA is concerned, right now, Zambia has not ratified. They've signed, but only 34 countries have ratified. So we keep pushing our country. If you remain behind, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to catch up. They'll make it very, very costly. So we are appealing to the Zambian government to do the right thing, ratify this thing, let the youth, let our businesses start to participate. Your last word, Dr. Powanga.
Well, I think this has been very helpful, and it's a very good program. And the only remarks I can put forward are those that, one, obviously the youth, we need to do something about them. We need to provide them with opportunities, and those opportunities are going to be provided by working together. Often, I see that I mean, giving an example of Zambia, for instance, you will see that there seems to be a disconnect between the academic sector and the business sector. Those have got to be working together, whereby, I mean, my students, I've placed them with the governor's office, I've placed them with with different companies so that they can even work there.
Mm-hmm.
We need to do that as well in Africa, where we have specific problems. We work in collaboration with the universities,
Mm-hmm.
and so that those universities can give us the answer at a discount, pretty much, for our businesses. And then the students are learning from that, and we
Mm-hmm.
are also getting cheap labor, so to speak. But it's a win-win situation. We reduce our costs.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the students learn more. So when it comes to absorbing them into our companies, they come, they hit the ground running, because the stuff that we are telling them, the stuff is already there. And
Right.
there used to be very good programs run by the mines. I don't know if they still run them, because I went through that myself, where you do a project with the mines. And that's how I ended up working in the division that I was working in, because I went there, I did a project, I liked the people there, they liked me. So when I was asked by the mines, which division do you want to go work in? I said, oh, I'm going to go to the tailings rich plant. Because they already knew me. And oh yeah, in fact, they requested you. So
Yeah.
and when you go there, you have all the confidence. Everything is familiar to you. You're not just looking at a drawing of a pump, but you've seen a pump before and you've operated one before.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
it's more of an apprenticeship, if you will. So that kind of environment is what should be expanded, and we all should be proud of making sure that we leave the world better than we found it.
Yes.
By making sure that the people that are now
Mm-hmm.
coming after us, they've got more opportunities than we used to have, rather than us having more opportunities than they used to have. That's not right. So thank you very much for inviting me. I really appreciate the.
Thank you. I was actually, someone is supposed to join us. Those who are listening, I invited listening in Zambia. I would have loved them to give their remarks to hear. So, Madam Tusoma, if you, I saw you coming in the green room. Please log in, and then you just give us. Okay, there she is. Yeah, wonderful. Hello, Madam Tusoma. Hello.
She can't see us.
Hi.
Yeah.
How are you? How are you, doctor?
I'm doing fine. I can see I'm looking at Miss Zambia herself. No, I meant I was reading the T-shirts.
Yeah. So I don't know your internet if you are freezing, but just a few comments, Madam Tusoma, how of the discussion. What are your comments? Mm-hmm. Can you hear us?
No, probably
Okay.
not.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if people can get me, but you're actually cutting. It's been. Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead. Go ahead. Okay. This is the one area I think we really are going to work in, Dr. Powanga, as a continent.
Okay, let me just talk. Hopefully, you'll eventually get me. Yes. So,
okay, yeah, go ahead.
When it comes to Zambia and the ratification, it has.
Okay, we couldn't hear anything anyway. You went quiet, but
can you hear
me? Very little, very little like this. We couldn't hear anything. but we'll do what I would do is I'll do a recording with you, a recorded one, and then we'll post the response. I'll combine it with this video. Okay, she has dropped. This is one thing that Dr. Powanga we have to work on as a continent. It is the internet. Last week I was with a young man from Ghana. It was the same. Dr. Powanga, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. And like I said, I'll be knocking like every day. We just need your brains to build and follow through with this thing. Have a good weekend or whatever is remaining of the weekend, Dr. Powanga.
Absolutely. Same to you. Thank you very much for inviting me.
You are welcome, sir.